They never thought I would get this far. A black girl, from a place where dreams felt impossible, where success was never meant for someone like me. I was underestimated before I even spoke, but every doubt they had about me quietly turned into my strength. This isn't a story about luck. This is the story of how I learned to believe in myself, even when the world told me not to. My story didn't begin with comfort. It didn't begin with privilege. It began with struggle and silence. From a very young age, I knew that life was not going to be easy for me. Nothing was guaranteed. Opportunities weren't just handed out where I came from. I had to work for everything, and sometimes I had to fight just to be noticed. I didn't always understand why things felt so much harder for me, but I felt it deeply. I saw it in the way people looked at me. I felt it in the expectations they never had for me. As a child, I was an observer. I watched the world quietly. I noticed how people were treated differently based on how they looked, where they came from, and what they had. Sometimes it was really obvious, like a door slammed shut in your face. Other times, it was more subtle. A pause in a conversation, a certain tone of voice. A door that just wouldn't open, no matter how hard you pushed. Those moments hurt, they really did, but they also shaped me. They taught me a very important lesson early on. If I wanted to be heard, I would have to create my own voice. School became my first real challenge, and it wasn't because I wasn't capable, knew I was smart. It was because so many people around me believed I wasn't. I was underestimated more times than I can even count. Teachers would pass over me, classmates would dismiss my ideas. And I won't lie, there were days when that doubt started to seep in, days when I questioned myself, wondering if they were right. But education became my power. Every lesson I learned, every test I aced, every late night I spent studying, proved something not to them, but to me. It proved that I belonged. As I got older, the challenges didn't just disappear. They just changed their form. The external doubts from others started to become internal ones. I began questioning my confidence, my identity, my place in the world. Fear became a constant companion, following me into new rooms, new opportunities. The thought of quitting was tempting so many times. It would have been easier to just give up and accept the small box people wanted to put me in. But something deep inside of me, a small but fierce spark, refused to stop. Even when I was terrified, I kept going. Entering higher education and then professional spaces was incredibly intimidating. I can't tell you how many times I was the only black woman in the room. The pressure was immense. It felt like every mistake I made would define not just me, but everyone who looked like me, and every success would be questioned, seen as a fluke or an exception. So, instead of shrinking under that pressure, I decided to rise to it. I prepared harder than anyone else. I learned to speak softer, but clearer, so they had no choice but to listen. I stood my ground, even when my voice trembled, and that's when I learned something truly important. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It doesn't just magically appear one day. You have to build it, step by step, by doing the very things that scare you the most. Every risk I took made me stronger. Every challenge I overcame made me wiser. Slowly but surely, I stopped waiting for other people's approval. I started defining what success meant for myself. For me, success was never just about money or fancy titles. It was about purpose. It was about proving that where you start does not have to decide where you end. It was about becoming living proof that limits are meant to be broken. I wanted my journey to mean something not just for me, but for every other little girl out there who felt unseen, unheard, and underestimated. When I look back on my journey now, I don't see weakness in those early struggles. I see preparation. Every single struggle trained me for the next battle. Every setback strengthened my resolve. My past didn't break me, it built me. I learned to honor where I came from, because it became the solid foundation upon which I built my entire life. Today, I stand here as a confident and successful woman. And I want to be clear, it's not because life was kind to me. It's because I learned to be kind to myself. It's because I refused to give up. It's because I learned to believe in myself, even when it felt like no one else in the world did. If my story proves just one thing, I hope it's this. No matter how invisible you feel right now, no matter how underestimated you are, your story matters, your dreams are valid, your voice deserves to be heard, and if I could rise from the silence and the doubt, then I promise you, so can you. Thank you for listening.